Welcome to the Apartment Guys, where we dive deep into all things multifamily investing. Our mission is to educate, inspire, and empower real estate investors to reach their highest potential. Each week, host Tate Seamer interviews high-level guests from all over the industry who are sure to bring valuable, actionable ideas that will propel your career to the next level. Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned investor, you are in the right place. And now your host, the Apartment Guy, Tate Seamer.
Welcome everybody back. Another episode of the Apartment Guys coming at you. And it is a special week at the Apartment Guys because it is Mr. Josh Darville week at the Apartment Guys. Josh is a buddy of mine. We met through a mastermind group that we're both members of, the Tim Bratz Legacy family. If you guys want to learn more about that, reach out to me. I love it, and I'm happy to share with you more about it. We may talk about it a little bit here too. Josh is an investor and is really bridging from the single family, smaller investment world and even small multi world to larger scale commercial multifamily. And I wanted to have him on the show because Josh is ready to pop. He's got a team. He's got acquisitions guy. He's got an assistant. And he's super talented himself. And like, this is a guy that in the next year is going to do deals that will change his life for the rest of his life. And I want listeners to hear what he's doing, what you've done, Josh, what you're doing, and where you're headed. And then you and I'll brainstorm and brain dump I'll give you my thoughts on how to get where you're headed, and you'll ask me questions and it'll be awesome. But first of all, Josh, welcome to the show, bud.
Yeah, man, I'm super pumped to be here. I've been listening to a lot of the different episodes, and the Apartment Guys is definitely one of my favorites. So I'm super pumped to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I'm pumped to have you. It's awesome to have members of our mastermind on the show. I love that. And, I'll just mention Tim. I have no official promotional relationship with Tim. He's a good friend, Tim Bratz, and has been huge in our development and in our networking, our growth as a company. And that's how you and I met, Josh. That's how I've met a number of other key people right now in our business. And I want to mention too, right off the bat, Josh has a brand new podcast himself called the NETWORTH Game, which is really cool concept, I think. Right. And that's really what we're doing here is building our net worth, right? At the end of the day, big picture, that's what our balance sheet is, what we're building.
Absolutely. Yeah. So if you look at the, Forbes list of wealthiest people on the planet, what are they measuring? Right. They're measuring their net worth. So I'm just to give you a little background, I was a real estate broker in the state of Florida, and then I moved to North Carolina. I'll also have a license here. I've been doing some deals in both states. And this one book that I had read about being a millionaire real estate agent talked about it's a net worth game. How do you grow your net worth? There's another great book that I read called Creating Wealth, which I also said, hey, if you're a real estate agent and you're not investing in real estate, what are you doing?
You're missing great opportunity. Is that Bill Allen, Creating Wealth? That's kind of, I was a guess off the top of my head, but
no,
don't worry about it.
I don't remember the name.
We'll put it in the show notes. We'll put the author in the show notes.
I heard him at a seminar. I was like, you're damn right. Why am I not? Can I say, all right. Can I say damn it? All right.
Absolutely.
So it's all right. So I started as a real estate agent, and I said, all right, well, my wife and I are living in this, little townhouse. We're going to rent it out and buy a different house. That was my first investment was moving into a bigger, better house. And then we had lived in that bigger, better house for a while, and we thought we'd have family visiting all the time and all this stuff. And it was far away from work, far away from where the kids go to school. And it was close to where our church was. So we were like, all right, let's change this. So we downsized, sold that place, made like $100,000 because the market was, doing well, and we'd improved the place. It looked nice. And then we were like, all right, let's get another investment. So my entry points into becoming an investor was really kind of small-minded, lazy, I guess. I mean, like we became investors, but we weren't like, I'm an investor. It was like, I'm a realtor still,
Yeah.
right? I was like, I'm a realtor and I own an investment. It wasn't till the point where we said, this is my full-time gig. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to find deals. I'm going to flip them. We're going to renovate them, and we started going that route. And then that's when things start changing, where you start looking at your investment, your ability to invest differently.
Yeah. And it's a mindset shift. Like this game, you talk about the game, right? I love that word because it makes it fun and it's not so like life and death and black and white. Yeah, it's just like, this should be fun. And we both do what we do because we love it. Playing the game and playing it well is a lot of fun. Forget where I was going with that first point, but I'm really excited for you. Go ahead.
It's like the Matrix. You don't, sometimes you don't even know that you're in it. Right. You're like, I'm just working along. Then how does the little man get ahead? And then you're like, oh, wait, the rules are actually written the same way for everybody.
That's right.
And you can start to go, oh, wait, so if I do these certain things, then I can actually leverage money, like to be able to buy a house, no money down, and then rent it out and have somebody pay the mortgage and actually make money.
Yeah.
I mean, it takes a little bit of a leap right there, just in your mindset.
Right. So let's talk about the leap from there to the leap to the mindset of a commercial multifamily investor, which is where you're headed. You're working on a 5-unit deal right now, right? Which is barely a commercial asset because it's 5 units or more. Right. 4 units or more, for listeners that may not know, is 4 units or more, duplex, fourplex, triplex, single family are all considered residential and can't qualify for commercial financing.
Or less. You said or more.
Yeah. Sorry, or less.
Yeah,
thank you.
Or less.
Thank you.
But as soon as you go 5 units or more, then it's considered commercial.
That's right.
So
thank you. Thanks for the clarification on that. Yeah. So in the whole point, we're almost 90 episodes in this podcast. And if you listen to the episodes, you're going to kind of hear a common theme, which is go bigger and scale up, and that's what multifamily is all about. It's leverage, it's scale, it's doing one thing once for 150 units. Like, for instance, going and getting a loan, you're going to get one loan on a 5-unit. You're going to get one loan on a 50 unit. You're going to get one loan on a 250 unit. And believe it or not, they're all about the same amount of work. And so it's just a matter of belief and getting your head around that I can do these bigger deals and I can scale up and I have what it takes. Now, you've done what I think I would, one of the things I recommend to anybody that's maybe a few steps behind you, because you're about to break the seal here, but you've done what I recommend to so many people, which is surround yourself with people doing big deals, bigger than you, right? That expand what you believe to be possible, because the whole thing about the 5 people that we spend the most time with, we're the average of those 5 people. And I believe there's truth to that, if you're surrounded by people that are crushing it in their business, people that are in good physical shape, people that are, have killer relationships, et cetera, are successful in life, that's going to wear off on you. And it's a key to moving the needle, in my opinion, if you want to level up, right? And you're leveling up right now. And I really wanted the listeners to hear this conversation that we're about to have, because there's a lot of people right where you are that listen to this podcast that are looking for that leveling up and are creating, going from small scale to larger scale, right? So, and I believe, I'll just cut to the chase, I believe anyone that's listening to this can do a 250 unit deal in the next year. I totally believe that. I believe you can do it, and I believe anybody listening can do it. That's my mindset, right? I know what's possible in this world. I've I haven't been a part of a deal that big yet, but we've made offers on 360 units, so we're underwriting huge deals. Well, relatively, $20-30 million deals sometimes. Sure. And, so I know how that works. And I'm surrounded by people that are closing deals like that. And you've done the smart thing. You've networked with the Bratz group, with me personally. And now we're spending time together, like moving the needle in your world. Right.
Right. Well, and that's the thing is, a lot of times I tell people the first thing you can do to spend time with people who are doing business at a level higher than your own is spending time listening to podcasts, watching videos, listening to audiobooks. Some of these guys have taken their absolute best material, wrote it down, and then read it, recorded it, and you can now listen to it while you're driving. Yeah. One of the very first things that I'm having, like I have, my kids are a part of my experiment. Mm-hmm. So my 9-year-old, my 11-year-old, every day on the ride to school, which takes about 20 something minutes to get there, we listen to audiobooks, and we're listening to The Compounding Effect.
Oh yeah. Nice.
And so he says, one of the things you should do is make your car into a university. So like my kids understand some of this stuff, and they're like, yeah, well, how we surround ourselves and what we do matters. And I'm like, okay, good. And
you're planting the seeds, man.
Well, and so it gets in there, like where you start talking to, I mean, especially with the next generation who, like my parents, didn't want to talk about money. Hey, Dad, how much you make? No, I'm not telling you. It's like, and so my kids know a lot more about what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish. They know, Dad hires people. Like we have people that work all the time around our big project right now is this little, I call it a resort. We use Airbnb, and we have a multifamily compound, if you will, called the Scarborough House. And I'll just plug it. It's scarboroughhouse.com. But at the end of this renovation, it'll be 15 bedrooms, 11 bathrooms. It has a pool house, and this giant pole barn that we want to do like weddings and events and other stuff like that. So it's probably worth $1 million too, maybe a little bit more, especially if we, start actually basing it based upon revenue rather than just comparables. It's commercial assets. So that's how commercial assets are valued, is revenue and not comparables. Right. Well, I guess I have a question for you then.
Yeah, for sure.
Because we bought it as a personal residence. I have a loan on it. It's a recourse loan, not a non-recourse loan. I mean, and it's not like it's basically a giant house, a guest house. And
so it's probably not classified as commercial asset then, because it's not. I get it. I'm with you. So it's not a true multifamily where you've got like individual apartments, so to speak.
Yeah, we're building it out that way.
So you're changing it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, cool. It's kind of interesting because it's out there in the country, but it's technically considered residential. And we're using it to do this Airbnb. It's close to 95. You get a lot of traffic. So that's that's a big project. I mean, this house, again, we're going from the worker. It's interesting because I don't know if it was you who said this, but it was somebody at the Legacy family was like, you helping your guys go ahead and, change out drywall is the most selfish thing you could do. And I was like, I'm a good helper. Like I help out, I buy the materials, and that's my world is right now renovating houses, or at least helping to manage the projects. And he was like, dude, you need to be finding the next deal.
That's right.
Was that you that said that to me?
Maybe it sounds like something I'd say, but whoever said it was very smart. Hit the nail on the head.
And it just hit home. So then it's like, all right. So we've added members to our team, which increases our expense. And when we were sitting with Tim Bratz at that mastermind group, I think it was in Florida, he said, we were like, how do we do marketing? It's very expensive. So currently we're using mailers, and we're sending out to every 5+ building, 5 units or more in the Raleigh area. Right.
Okay.
And he's like, first of all, marketing isn't an expense, it's an investment.
That's right.
That broke my brain because I'm like, it's an investment. Okay. I've done a lot of marketing, and sometimes it has an ROI, sometimes it doesn't. And I'm not the best, I guess, at that. So I'm trying to get better at tracking the marketing, because what gets measured gets managed, right?
Right.
So,
all right. Let's talk a little bit about, we were talking before we started recording about the book Vivid Vision. I've mentioned it numerous times on the show in the past. Our company, we read Vivid Vision. Chelsea, Carl, and I did, my partners. We really took it in, talked about our Vivid Vision, and then I wrote a detailed Vivid Vision that is 6 pages long and illustrates what our vision is for our 3-year vision for the company, right? And it includes everything from what you would expect in terms of mission statement oriented language, metrics that we're shooting for, but I think more importantly, it defines our culture. It defines what our office looks like, what our staffing looks like, what kind of relationships we have with property managers and brokers, and it goes into extreme detail and creates a future for us that we otherwise may or may not have. And so you've read the book Vivid Vision, you listened to it. I listened to it as well.
Yeah.
And
or audiobook. I mean,
yeah,
I was never the guy that's going to sit there and just read through all the books, but I tell you what, since high school, which was very, very long ago, but in high school wasn't a big reader, but audiobooks, I found the medium in which I can consume information.
That's awesome. I love it.
It is audiobooks.
Yeah. So listeners, Vivid Vision, first of all, if you are listening to this, you should have an Audible account. I'm sure you do. If you don't, get one. And download Vivid Vision, listen to it. Contact me if you want to, but let's get a Vivid Vision going for you so that you can really start creating what you want to create and create something big. So you've listened to the book, but you haven't written your Vivid Vision yet, right?
Yeah. Part of that is got to be the belief, right? I mean, we gotta figure out some of these details, how do I actually do this? I'm so
glad you said that. That's perfect, Josh, because as soon as this is something that's, when it comes to creating your own reality, however you want to put it, right? And dreaming big, thinking big, the magic of thinking big, right?
Right.
The how has to go out the window, dude. You can't have how in your mindset or when you're doing the big picture thinking, right? So it's the what, it's the result, it's the net worth you're creating, it's the number of doors you're acquiring first, and then the how will, in often cases, take care of itself, will materialize. You'll be presented with an opportunity, a partnership, an investor, a money source, a deal source. The how starts showing up, and it happens. I promise you, it's happened to us over and over and over again. And we've led with a vision first mentality, and we're now doing it on steroids with our Vivid Vision. So I'm just going to challenge you a little bit, Josh, because I love you. You're my brother, and I want you to be successful. And I know you can be. And going after 5 units or 10 units or 15 or 20 units is fine. And you're in that market, so you can do those deals and manage those deals. But Josh, you could spend the same resources going after 80 units, 100 units, 150 units, 250 units, getting those deals under contract, figuring out how to do that. And that's totally doable. And then creating this situation for yourself where I got to raise $3 million, right? And that's when you come to me, Brats, everybody in the Brats group, everybody that you can think of and you start your capital raising game, right? And that's like a big section of your business that we can talk about a little bit too. But I want you, before you develop your vivid vision, as much as possible, to believe that you can do this scale. And I know you can. Like, there's not a doubt in my mind. There's people with a lot less talent that are very successful. There's people with a lot less resources that are very successful. And you're kind of locked in right now. I mean, you're locked into a prosperous network.
Have you heard the story about the gold mine? There was like a guy that went out and he was mining for gold and found something, sold everything, bought the land, went back out, and he couldn't find the strain, right? Or whatever they call it. The vein of gold.
I forget what they call it. Yeah, strain or
a vein.
That's it. Yep.
And so then eventually just gave up, sold it. Somebody else bought it, looked at what this guy had been doing, and was like, contacted an expert. The guy's like, no, because of an earthquake or something, that vein probably shifted 10 yards that way or 10 feet that way.
Mm-hmm.
So the other guy went, picked up the vein, and he made millions and millions of dollars with it. And that's kind of where I kind of, you have those moments, you take a deep breath, you're like, is this going to work? Like, and you're have to convince yourself, no, we're going to just keep pushing. I know it, like, because at some point your bank account keeps going down. You sold off an asset to fund some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And we're paying for marketing. We're paying for acquisitions teams. We're paying out a lot, and you're waiting to see the next, input. Like,
right.
I need to make some deposits here. So, so that's where you kind of, it does weigh on you.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you deal with the stress of watching your bank account go from, I guess, and that's where the game comes in, because if you can at least have it where you cover your four walls. I know everybody doesn't like, Dave Ramsey because he's white belt financial stuff, right? If you want to be a black belt, those moves are totally different. I had this great idea about the books that we read. I said, you should have like books that you should read in order for like a white belt, like basic financials.
Yeah.
It ought to be, Dave Ramsey or whatever. Like, you should have a budget, right? That's kind of basic, right? But the idea is that at some point you got to change over from, you've covered the four walls. Now, how do we actually, hit pay dirt?
Grow. You got to grow.
Right.
Yeah. You need to grow your balance sheet right now. That's what's up. So you need to be acquiring assets that cash flow and that are going to grow in value, and ideally where you can force appreciation by improving the property and improving the income.
Yeah.
That's the game. So I think, belief, a lot of times, man, it just comes down to faith, bro. Like, like the faith that I can state this vision. I can say, I want 2,000 doors in the next 2 years, or 500 doors in the next 2 years, whatever you can get your head around that feels good to you. You state that, you put it in writing, you tell key people, maybe you develop it a little bit, but you put it out there. And first of all, magic happens when you do that. I promise you that other forces are at work that move the needle that help you move the needle. And it really comes down to like, okay, let's take a look at our past. Like, in general, if things pretty much worked out for us, like, have we in general been pretty successful in what we've tried? Like, why is this not going to be any different? I'm just kind of looking for that magic ingredient here in the conversation, because I want to talk a little bigger numbers with you here. Like, I want to, that vivid vision, dude, there's so much truth to the fact that we grossly overestimate sometimes what we can do in 12 months, but we really underestimate what we can do in 3 to 5 years. And that's so true. Like, your 3-year vivid vision can look however you want,
Well, let's just go through this then. So, so vivid vision. So it's disregarding any how.
Yeah.
You don't need to. Just think about what it would look like if you just put yourself in the future, and what would it look like? So for me, I mean, I would even like to go through this. So I want to own, part of it is I try to do the math. I start doing math with a vivid vision. Is that like, if you're making, I think I've heard it said that if you're making like $30 to $50 a door in multifamily, actual net cash flow,
Yeah.
then that's a pretty accurate number. Is that?
It's a tough one. I mean, because some properties, when they're going through stabilization, won't cash flow at all. Some properties will cash flow really well, and it really depends on your markets too. But I wouldn't get. So, are you trying to get to like a personal income number, like a net, like a net cash flow number?
Let's say I want to make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
Right. I want to make $1 million a year.
Yeah.
And if you say $50 per unit, then I need 20,000 doors.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's the deal, bro. This is what's like amazing about multifamily.
Sure.
And Tim will tell you this too. Cash flow is great. It really is great. And on the surface, we all want that cash flow. Like I just wrote an ebook called FIRE, which is Financially Independent, Retire Early. And it's all about establishing enough cash flow to cover your expenses in your life so that you're financially independent. You can do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. And that's awesome. And we can do that. I'm a huge advocate of that. The reality of this business that we're in, this game we're playing,
sure,
is that the huge pieces come on the disposition of your properties. And whether that's refinancing and doing cash out and recapitalizing on the asset and reinvesting that into a new asset, or just selling and taking that money and reinvesting it, or taking it as income. If you want $1 million in income, so you're going to have cash flow, and you want to have cash flow. And maybe you have a portfolio that's just like, you get to $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month or $20,000 a month, and you put it on a third party property management, you let it run itself. And that is like kind of a nest egg portfolio for you, if you will, or whatever.
That amount would keep you comfortable, right?
Yeah.
That most people could live comfortably with, $5,000 to $10,000 a month.
Yeah.
And then the rest of it becomes a game. So again, your four walls: food, clothing, shelter, transportation. Okay, cool. You're not extravagant at this point, but you're able to cover those. And then one of the things I'm hearing, and I'm trying to get from where I'm at to where you're at, and where some of these other guys, big fan, by the way.
Thanks, man.
Is I have to relate it from my own knowledge. So I had bought a house, and I owned it for 3-4 years, and then we cash flowed. We were making money, but eventually we sold it. Yeah. And that's where we made like, $200,000.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is, now you take that and you put that into multifamily, where you didn't buy a house, you bought 50, 100 houses.
Yeah, that's right.
And then, all right, so you're cash flowing $50, not lighting the world on fire, but then you just made $200,000 times 50. That's right. Your bigger rip. Is that what you're saying?
That's it, man. And then there's a third piece of your income. So you're going to have cash flow. You're going to have back end equity growth. When you recapitalize, when you dispose of the property or refinance it, and you're going to have acquisition fees on the front end. And those typically run anywhere from 1.5% to 4% of the purchase price. You, as the operator, as the general partner in your syndication, which is how you'll do these deals, likely will charge an acquisition fee to the project. And like I said, 0.5% to 4%. So that can be a few $100,000 on a big deal, So we, quite frankly, Greenlight, that's what we use. We use that income for overhead to pay for our business, and it works. Like, if you're closing deals and getting deals done, that's where it'll come from as well. Tim's group gets acquisition fees. There's also a small fee that a lot of people charge called an asset management fee along the way, and that's like that's based on rents. and it's an ongoing small amount of income to the general partners as well. So there's ways of making money aside from the cash flow. When you syndicate apartments, there's multiple streams of income, I guess.
So when you say that there's the acquisition fee, having a background as a real estate broker, real estate brokers make 3 to 6%, or if it's vacant land, it could be 10. If it's commercial, it could be even a little bit less. But the idea of being the one that's helping with the transaction, and then you get your weight, right? A commission. Basically, it's a commission, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
it's a commission, but no. So
legally,
an acquisition fee is different than a commission. It's because it's not paid to the broker, right? So it's paid to the buyer. It's paid to the entity that buys the asset.
But then you also are still controlling it. So it's right. Got it.
That's right. Yep. So it's key. Like you underwrite a $10 million deal and you charge a 2% acquisition fee, which is modest. Some people will underwrite a 3, maybe. It's $200 to $300 or $200,000 to $300,000 at closing, liquid, that you get, as long as you've raised the capital to close it. And that's we'll do another episode on capital raising. We're not going to delve into that right now. So yeah, man. So let me just ask you, like, kind of point blank here. Like, what do you think? Give me a realistic picture. Let's talk vivid vision, right? What would you like to see happen in 3 years? Like, don't think about the how, the what's possible. Like, if you could push a button and make anything happen in the course of your business, what would you like that to be? What would you like to see?
Well, I mean, for starters, one of the things is just being able to have enough cash flow where it is unearned income. I mean, I don't necessarily think I would just stop working altogether and sit back. Like Elon Musk was one time asked, why don't you just get some Coronas and go sit on the beer or drink beer and sit on the beach, sit on the beer. And he's like, I find that incredibly boring. Right.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'd love to have, whether it's $250,000 or $500,000 annually coming in, that's kind of unearned income that covers all the basics, right? And then some. You can still live a pretty nice lifestyle. That's kind of one of the things. And then also, if we can continue to grow our assets, but then like really the vision at some point comes down to like, I want to be able to provide my parents a place to stay and just be like, oh no, it doesn't cost you anything. It's just me being able to take care of my parents, my wife's parents, and my family. That would be that's kind of a vivid vision of mine, if you will, as far as how to get there. I don't know, but I'm not.
There's no how to get there yet, because we haven't really created a vision yet.
Right.
Like, these are nice things: residual income, retire your parents. Dude, I want to know balance sheet. I want to know what your net worth is in 3 years.
Well, I mean, do you say what's a reasonable growth? I mean, right now, let's not even put reasonable in there. Let's just, I just said you've got the right now in this conversation, you've got the magic of a magic button to push, the easy button, right? And you can make that balance sheet worth whatever you want to make it. Like, what makes your heart sing? Like, what vision for that makes your heart sing? Well, and so that's part of it. I guess this is why I want to hash this out with you. Is like, right. So I don't really care about money, right? Tony Robbins says it's not about money.
That's right.
Nobody needs little pieces of paper with deceased notables on it. They want what they think money can buy.
That's right.
I'm saying, like, I want a Ferrari and a giant Jeep or a boat. I mean, like, what does boat stand for? Break out another 1,000. Those things are expensive. I've had one, but it's like, that's really the thing that we're going after, is what do we think money can buy? I'd like to be on stage. I'd like to have my own mastermind and help other people. Yeah. I think at some point, helping yourself just becomes less and less of the thing that you focus on. It's like Zig Ziglar said, the more you help other people, the more you'll get what you want. And I find that true. Like, how do I employ more people? And
Mhm.
some of these people, I want to impact their lives. When we started writing down our core values of our business, you definitely turned us on to Jake and Gino. And I
Mhm.
had Gino on the net worth game, and
Cool.
he was like, core values, understanding what you want to do. And so we wrote down, like, we want to own apartment complexes. And then part of what we want to do is have like donut days where we actually get donuts and coffee and have the community help clean up the community center around there. And that would be one thing.
Yeah.
Being able to like have pizza days on in the community and help build these communities where we're actually impacting people's lives.
Yeah.
I mean, that's I don't have a number. I mean, right now my net worth is probably a million five, $2 million. And if I could, 10x it to go with a little Grant Cardone there, all right. So now it's $20 million. All right. But is that, I think that the interesting thing is that to do what we're doing, to take it and add a couple of zeros to it is totally doable.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's why we do it. I mean, Tim has the 7-8 figure a year business people in his mastermind that he introduces us to all the time. And yeah, so a 10x in 3 years, bro, that's doable.
Right. And it's all about how do you double it, right? So here's where I'm at. How do I double it? And then I thought
you can double your net worth in one deal, one property. You can double your net worth. All right. So 20. Okay. So here's the thing. I wrote down a lot of the things that you want to see in your vivid vision. You want to see residual income. You call it unearned income. And I'll just say this. I don't really believe that that's totally possible unless you leverage a team like you've started to do to cover all aspects of the business. In that case, yeah, you've got a machine that's printing money and it doesn't depend on you. But I know what you mean. Like you're talking passive income from investments that's from the work you've done before, right? So you've worked once to get a deal on your balance sheet and you want to see residual income from that, right?
Also from a tax perspective, doesn't the IRS, right? Big fan of the IRS. Love the IRS.
Yep.
Talk to me about that later. But like they label W-2 as earned income, right? And so the W-2 1099, that is the highest taxed income you can have, but appreciation or borrowing against some of your assets, that's unearned income, right?
Well, it can be tax deferred, right? So yes, you can 1031 exchange profit into another asset and not pay taxes on it. And I really don't want to get in taxes here because I'm not well versed, to be honest. But I know what you're talking about. Like, yes, you want non W-2 income.
Right. Like if somebody said to you on your taxes last year, what did you actually earn? Like, I think again, Elon Musk, great example, but he earns minimum wage. So last year he earned, 40 grand, right? All his unearned income was the thing that actually like made him the richest man.
Yeah, it's non W-2 income, right? Yeah.
Right.
And actually what made him the richest man on the planet, Josh, wasn't income. It was expansion of his portfolio. The value of his assets went way up. Right. So that's how he really grew his wealth. Now, does he have all kinds of cash coming in? Obviously. But yeah. And then you said you want to retire your parents. You want them to not have to worry about money, basically. That's what I heard you say. You want to drive a Ferrari, maybe. You want maybe a boat or a Jeep. This is where it gets good. You said you want to be on stage. You want to have your own mastermind. You want to help others and employ others. Now, listen, this is important. This is really key. Those last three, being on stage, having your own mastermind, and helping and employ others, you are going to be most effective and most powerful with a $20 million portfolio versus a $2 million portfolio. that portfolio, number one, it creates who you are on a credibility level, and it establishes a level of experience that you can share with others, and a level of like appreciation and respect that you're going to get from them because of what you've done. And whether or not that money is ultimately the most important thing to you, and I love that it's not, right? I love that money is not the most important thing to you. It needs to be part of your vision. Okay.
Right. And again, because the money actually equates to being able to do those
That's
things.
right.
Right. Like, I don't care about money, but I want the Ferrari. Well, guess what? Unfortunately, unfortunately that thing costs, a little bit of scratch.
Yeah. But so, I mean, why not? Life's short. Like if you're given to, charity, if you're employing others, if you're contributing to your family, if you got a mastermind, if you're, all that stuff, buy a toy.
Yeah. So, all right. So I want to buy all the toys. I like new stuff. I want.
Me too. I like stuff.
I like the nice things in life. I like taking trips. If we were going to do our vision board, I'd love to put down, travel to one of the places I always wanted to go to, Easter Island.
Oh, cool.
About Easter Island?
Oh yeah, I know all about it. Yeah.
The big faces on it. They're like, we don't know how this happened. The
pyramid. Have you done a vision board?
Years ago. I mean, I've done a lot of MLMs.
Yep.
Hate MLMs. Don't want to do any more MLMs. Please, nobody contact me about an MLM. I'm done with those. But like some of those multi-level marketing, they had some good training. They had some good ways of talking about vision boards, or opening your eyes to the possibility of somebody else taking all your money and going to buy their vision. I'm just kidding.
Well, here's the thing. Vision boards are awesome. I'm looking at mine right now. It's up on the wall. That's a personal vision, right? That's personal to you. And that's the vision, that like your core vision for what you want. That vision board's not for your company. What the tool that's for your company is your vivid vision, which is totally different. And it's written out. And again, get the book. It's by Harold is his last name. Spacing on his first name right now. Cameron Harold is the author's name. Herold. And get that book. Listen to it. It will change the game. I'm not telling you, Josh. I'm telling listeners. It'll change the game for you. I promise, if you embrace it. And that's what you want to create for your company. I love the idea of creating a vision board in congruency with that, or even before that, so that you build that vivid vision for your company around supporting your personal vision and your personal life and lifestyle.
Yeah.
So
it's you're creating these different components that work together. Mm-hmm. So I have a board in front of me, which has KPIs, right? And sort of like how many outbound calls, how many emails, how many offers we made, letters of intent. And then we have like, did we post on social media, stuff like that. So I think it's interesting because we're building together this, we're building this business, and there has to be these different components of it. One helps to fuel everyone, because, you don't, like, people will perish because of a lack of vision. Right.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And so without that, what are we really doing here? But then there is something to be said about the how, right?
That's it's the how's job. Like my opinion, like this is me, my job in the creation process is to create the vision and create and state it, like ask for it, pray for it, write it out, whatever it looks like to you. And then step back and let things settle, let things kind of start falling into place, and don't worry about the how yet. Okay. And I would say never worry about the how. What there is to do what you know to do, like the business steps that you're already taking, keep doing them faithfully, that this how to the vivid vision, this 3-year vision, is going to materialize. It's going to take on a shape of its own, maybe. And there's going to be things that will come to you that you won't see coming that you never thought would come, a KP for your deals that's worth $100 million or $50 million or whatever, shows up and wants to do deals with you. Like things like that happen all the time. And
Sure.
so I promise, Josh, one big takeaway, hopefully for you out of this, is the how will largely take care of itself. Now you need to build your company and do the things that your company does. And this is what I think's awesome about you and your situation is you've got an acquisitions person named Paul, and you've got an assistant named Debbie. And that core team right there is a powerhouse. Like having someone that's 100% focused on acquisitions and prospecting, marketing, et cetera, is going to lend really, really well to being able to start soon, because you can have that guy prospecting for those bigger deals. And then you and I are going to either get back on a podcast episode here soon, or we're going to get on a Zoom call together. And we're going to talk capital raising. Okay.
Sure.
This is a whole nother beast.
And you know, to wrap that up with the how is, I wasn't necessarily looking for Paul. You know, Paul and I have known each other for years. He actually, he's just such a cool guy. He's got an interesting story, but he was, he's a veteran and he was doing handyman service anyway. So he went through some hard times and, did some other things like that, which then got him to the point where, he was just like, hey, dude, I'm looking for something. And I said, here's what I got, go ahead and start researching this, start learning this stuff. Go ahead and listen to, the Apartment Guys podcast. Tell me what you think, and he's like, yeah, listen to that. It's awesome. Let me tell you about, and he started explaining to me commercial real estate. And I'm like, finally, somebody actually took what I said and did something with it, because, you have like, how many times do you get hit up a week? Hey, can you teach me what you're doing?
Yeah,
like,
totally.
Hey, look,
and that's great. I love that. I love teaching, helping, and I encourage listeners to make appointments with me and get personal coaching, really, no strings attached. I don't charge for it. And people do. I have appointments all week with folks. Josh, dude, we're out of time. This has been amazing. I want to just I want to give you a chance to share your big takeaways from this real quick.
Well, I mean, I think it's awesome to be able to, hang out with you and actually do the podcast, have these conversations. More like you had said, do a podcast. Some of the other people at our mastermind, I would never be starting our own podcast if I hadn't talked to you and started listening to your podcast. And you're like, if I can do it, you can do it. We've had a couple of conversations in person, and those conversations help move this thing through. And plus, it's interesting to be able to meet with people and then follow them on social media, because then you're like, oh, I know that guy. It's a very different feeling so come on out to some of these different places where we meet up. I don't know, whatever it is, the multifamily meetup, Javier, he's got a group, Terry
Javier Hinojo.
Yeah. $1 billion boardroom.
Yep.
There's got his tab tribe. That's a great place to go meet people, but you got to start putting yourself in the room where you're hanging out with these people, because your vision will change.
That's right. That's great. Yeah, that's great. So for you personally, did Vivid Vision feel a little bit more defined for you, or a little bit more developed, kind of honed out?
Yeah, so one of the problems I have is in driving and listening to audiobooks, sometimes you don't have the ability to just start jotting stuff down, because I'm actually going from one place to another. So part of my takeaway is I got to go and actually buy the physical book. I had a lot of physical books here. I need to go buy that book and actually go through or maybe go download. I think they have something there to say, here's what you should start writing down. But I'm going to go ahead and actually put pen to paper, make this happen. I will send you a copy.
Cool, man. So let's do this. Let's follow up on an episode. Let's do another episode in a couple months.
Sure.
We'll talk about your Vivid Vision, because it'll be written by then. We'll talk about capital raising, and we'll talk about continued success in the areas that you're already doing. How's that sound?
My life is pretty much an open book. I mean, we're talking about the net worth game, and I'll tell you, here's my net worth. Here's what we're actually doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's interesting to be able to do that because so many people are so guarded about those things. And I just want to say, it is not something that needs to be secretive about, like I don't see the point of that. I don't know if you.
Yep. No, I think that's great, Josh. It's very generous to our listeners for you to have shared as transparently as you have. And I thank you for that. And we got to wrap it up. Unfortunately, I've got a meeting here that we need to get to, but I'm really grateful for this. You've been, like I said, transparent and generous in your sharing. And I think we've created a lot of value, hopefully, for listeners and some action steps to take. So, Josh, thanks a ton. Listeners, thanks a ton for listening to another episode of The Apartment Guys. Look, if you're listening to the end of these episodes and really taking them in and taking notes or mental notes or following up on action steps, like you're doing the right stuff, guys. Like you're in the right place, doing the right things to move the needle. And I just want to encourage you to keep doing it. So we love you, listeners. And we look forward to the next week of The Apartment Guys. Actually, we're doing 2 a week now. So starting next week, we're going to have a second episode that Chelsea Garber and I will host. And we announced that last week. So, but with that, listeners, thank you again. Josh, thank you again, brother. Have a great one, everybody.
And make sure you book some time with this guy right here. He will
appreciate it.
Answer the phone. He'll set up a time. So
I'm
going to make sure that we fill up your calendar. A lot of people listen and you say book time with you and they don't do it. Book the time.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you for that. I love it. So do it. All right, everybody. Take care.
Thanks for listening to The Apartment Guys with Tate Seamer. Tate and friends are grateful to have you as a loyal listener. If you like what you've heard, please subscribe, rate, review, and share with friends on your Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, or any other podcast platform. Also, check out Tate's YouTube channel for videos of many of these episodes and more. Until next time, take massive action steps and rock on.